Welcome to my brand new podcast. I'm your host, Nate, better known as the Gun Drummer. I've made a name for myself from shooting guns on the internet to heavy metal music. Just built this new podcast studio and invited all my favorite metal bands to my house. My wife is like, what is going on? Who are these people? And why are they in my living room? My first guest is the drummer from Hatebreed, Matt Byrne. We shot some guns and I asked him a bunch of interesting questions. You know, what are your craziest tour stories? How do you not kill your band members after living with them and traveling around the world for so long? What advice do you have for younger bands? So we're gonna hop into that. One quick disclaimer, I made some noise in the mics and I'm sorry. This is my first episode and him and I, hyper drummers, are kind of like tipping and tapping and whipping and whapping on the table with our fingers, and you can hear it in the mic, so I'm sorry. It's not enough to ruin it. Don't let that scare you away, but I'm just letting you know, every once in a while there's a little bit of noise in there. If you do want to support the podcast, I got some shirts. I got boxes of them. They're like this. Just printed those, link in the description. Now, without further ado, let's get into the Gun Drummer Podcast, episode 001. Welcome to the first ever episode of the Gun Drummer Podcast.
That was great.
Today, I have a drummer with me of one of my favorite bands, a band that makes me want to shoot shotguns inside my living room. Not that I would ever do that. Matt Byrne is with me today from Hatebreed. He's smacking the heads, stomping the kicks, smacking the wax behind the drum set.
I got to use that. I got to use all that. That's a great bio right there.
Instagram bio for you.
Perfect. Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
this
of course.
This is great. I'm excited to be here and shoot the shit with you. And we shot some guns, right? Like, let's talk about that. I'm covered with gunpowder right now. Freaking, I'm stoked. I'm amped up. My adrenaline's going. I'm ready to get on stage right now. This is great.
It's so funny that you mentioned that because we thought about, when I have people here, should I shoot first or should we do the podcast right away and then shoot afterwards? But I think you're right because my adrenaline's pumping too. Obviously, both of ours are. We had you shoot the Desert Eagle, a bunch of shotguns,
and there's
45-70 revolver.
So much to talk about right now.
Yeah. So we will probably put that in a separate video and have that out for you guys. But anyway, I appreciate you being here for my very first episode. And
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course.
This is great. Do I make you nervous? Can I make you nervous? Now we don't know.
I'm just nervous because it's my very first podcast. I've never done this before. We just put this studio together, so this is new for me, I'm sure.
And it's a great studio.
Thank you.
Honestly, like
thank you.
With the you have the YouTube award up there, which is very well deserved. Very much deserved. And the lighting is perfect. And I'm ready to talk shop. It just really relaxes.
Well, hey, all of these are loaded. So if you feel crazy,
that was
like if anybody can shoot guns in the house, you know, it's you, because I started shooting guns inside the house to Hatebreed and it went super viral, man. I mean, like 40 million views on Facebook, over 10 million on YouTube.
Insane.
And I was on my lunch break. I just thought this will be funny. I was listening to Defeatist, you know, and I'm like that part where it's like, I take this foe. You know, it's like, jing, 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 and I was just thinking, man, a 12 gauge.
You know what this needs? A 12 gauge fired in my living room out the back door. Bam,
yes.
Bam, bam.
Yes.
No, it's perfect. It's very relaxing to know that every one of these guns is loaded right now.
I'm just letting you know in case something happens. I don't know. I got ducks. My wife bought a bunch of ducks. You saw my ducks earlier. Yeah. And the raccoons have been getting them. So I'm just on high alert, man. I mean,
raccoons.
I won't hesitate to just homicide on a raccoon.
I don't blame you. Any one of those things will blow it off the face of the earth.
I'll try to just briefly cover some of the things that we were talking about out there. Like one thing I wanted to ask you is, you know, I see a lot of bands that are around for a long, long time, and you guys still manage to maintain a relationship with each other. Would you have any advice for younger bands? Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you form a band structure and maintain relationships with these guys, even though you're like living with them for 30 years?
I think early on, you just naturally have to establish space and boundaries with each other. You know, the more you're around somebody, I mean, we've been around each other longer than, you know, people have been around their wives or kids. You know, sometime you're out. We were doing 300 shows a year early on, for a bunch of years straight.
That's insane.
So you're spending a lot of your life just wrapped up on this rolling submarine with, 4 other dudes in your band and then 5 or 6 dudes in your crew. And you're all in it together, man, just, hitting it hard every night. So you need your space. You need to know what, keeps you calm. Like, obviously it's only natural people are going to get on your nerves when you're spending that much time with anybody, so, cause you're only on stage for an hour, maybe an hour and 15 a night, and the rest is just, what do you do? So it's easy to, I think, like, start butting heads or whatever. And you see it all the time with bands. With us, and they break up or things happen or whatever. Everyone's got their own story. I mean, look, you can watch VH1 stories for days about these bands that, they were great until, and then something happened and whatever. But, I think with us, we just learned each other's rhythm and personality, and you learn space and boundaries. It's the most important, and then once you know that, you can you're just reading the room with everyone. You're reading, each other, and when to talk, when not to talk, what to say, what not to say, That's the general rhythm of living together forever, outside of the music, outside of, wow, you guys are in this band, it's so cool. Like, there's the side of it that's natural, everyday life that you have to learn how to cope with and just learn how to live when you're on the road that much, I think, like, that's one of the reasons for the longevity and the way that our lineups, it has changed several times over the years in the existence of the band. I mean, next year the band's going to be 30 years old. So we've been around for a little while, and we've had different lineups over the years. So, but the lineups, when they were in place, they last a while. It's not just a guy's in the band for a year and then, oh, he's not in it anymore. What happened? Oh, he was fighting with this guy or whatever. No, like, we've been together for a long time, and that's because you learn to work with each other. You learn to live with each other. You learn to be around each other all the time. It's like a marriage. Yeah, you bicker. I mean, not everything's perfect all the time. You're butting heads at times, You just got to learn your place. You learn your role, too, amongst everyone. You know how you fit into this puzzle that is the band, and just be mindful of that. And
that makes sense.
Make sure that other people surrounding you are mindful of that too, because that's what's going to keep your sanity. I mean, too many times you hear people start bickering about money or this or that, or, like, wives come into play. There's Yoko Onos out there, man. I don't know, bands have had problems over the years for all sorts of different reasons, so that the biggest thing, I think, for me, so you don't go off in those crazy directions and possibly see the demise of a band or a band member leaving or something like that. You learn your role, and you learn the space and boundaries amongst each other.
That makes sense. It sounds like you would have to. And I've always wondered, because, like you said, you're playing for an hour and a half or whatever, but then you got the other 23 hours a day, you guys are just together. So I've always just wondered how that works, and that makes sense.
Yeah. You got to have just naturally as a person, as you being out there, whether you're in Iowa or New York or Europe or wherever, bouncing around, all these different continents and everything like that, you have to learn what makes you happy too. So, if you need a break, like, okay, where am I'm going to go for a walk. What am I going to go see? Like, maybe I'm just going to put the headphones on. Maybe I'm going to read this book. Maybe I'm going to play these video games, whatever. Like, you need to figure out what makes you tick too, outside of the music, because there's so much other time. So, and you have to make sure you spend time nurturing those things that you like. They don't just go away because you're not at home. Now, the bus is your home, or the van is your home. You still have to do those things. Take yourself out of the music equation and still be a human being. And that's going to help you, longevity-wise, it's going to help you in your head and your mindset and your personality and everything. But it's also going to help you fit in and you be able to handle and deal with and hang with everybody else you're surrounded by all the time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Something, people don't think about, they hear you're in a band and, oh, this must be the greatest thing ever.
It's just glamour all the time, jamming all the time.
And hey, look, it is. There is that side of it, but you have to remember
Not
that
the
there's
whole time.
all these other hours in the day, like you still have to be yourself and figure out what makes you tick and do the things you enjoy. And like I said, just because you're in Europe or this part of the country or this part of the world or whatever, like you still got to do those things that keep you happy outside of the music. And so long as you're happy, that's another thing. Like you're happy up here, you're going to have little stupid things aren't going to bother you as much.
Exactly.
When somebody's stepping on your toes a little bit or somebody's annoying you or something, like you always have to be happy in here. Took a while to learn that, but once you do, you can't be doing partying all the time either,
You'll just get exhausted.
You're going to burn yourself out.
Well, actually, I was wondering, you said you guys were touring like 300 days out of a year, going to Europe, going all over the place. I've got a lot of friends, in bands, and I see them touring all over the place for months at a time. And I have to ask you, do you guys get exhausted, or are you just so used to it where you have your routine and you're just good, like you're at home? Or do you just burn
No,
out
you get tired. You definitely get tired. That's another natural thing. I mean, if you're spending, early on, we were doing 300 plus shows a year, early 2000s.
That's so insane.
All the way through the mid 2000s. And, the offers are there. You're hot. You're putting out records every 2 years or whatever,
That's
you
crazy.
got to tour on them. So you're not spending a lot of time at home. You're not spending a lot of time with your connections at home or whatever. So, you're mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. Sure. You got to take breaks, you have to take breaks. And like I was saying, I mean, you have to know your party. Hey, if you don't party, fine, that's fine. But if you do party, you got to know your limits. You got to know how to handle your partying because it can get out of hand quick.
Yeah, right.
And if it does get out of hand quick, you don't have much time left in that gig.
We've seen that a lot.
It's going to wear you out. Yeah. And
Just throughout the
for
last
some people
40,
it gets
50 years,
Yeah, sure. For some people it gets a lot worse, but you just got to make sure you can maintain. So it's these are things you it's not all sex, drugs, and rock and roll like the
Right.
60s, man, or whatever, however you look at it. Like it's more serious than that. It's a job.
It's a job.
It is a job.
And speaking of that,
It's a
you just
job.
mentioned putting out an album every 2 years and still touring like that. What does that look like? I mean, you guys are just writing on the road as you're going, or you go like to a studio and just bulk, that work and writing and then get back on the road?
Well, it's different for us. I think every record, we're not on average of an album every 2 years. I mean, maybe there was a stretch there, 2 or 3 records we did that, but I think on average, I mean, if you put them all together, we're probably every 4 years. If you took every equation, every album, and every approach and process is different with every record. It's been different. There's been the times where we rehearsed and demoed in a room and work the songs out. We're all in a room together jamming them live before we actually go in and record, work the bugs out, whatever, make sure everything's dialed in. And then there's the times where we were never in a room together. You're at home working.
Each person's laying down their own thing.
Yeah.
You see a lot of that now.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of that now.
Yeah, tracking wise,
Just
for
with
sure.
because of the technology.
And that's it. That's where it brings us. You can write a whole album through email,
Right.
or whatever. Like there's so many apps and technology has brought us to where there's video, chat, and all this stuff. The technology has brought us to where you don't have to be in the same room to do anything. I know tracking wise, I'm by myself all the time. Every record I've done, except for Perseverance, where it was more like. Those were the days when we were
jamming.
There was
like,
pre-production and demoing and stuff, but even a little bit of that. And then from that point on, I know for me, when I'm tracking the drums, I'm completely by myself. I know the songs enough where I'm just humming them in my head, and I track to a click track. And the variations in speed or whatever, or tempos, we'll just adjust the click and I'll track the parts independently. And then, that's another beauty of technology. I'm playing this stuff, but we might just track it 2 separate tempos and then put them together. And that's cohesive and that makes the song. But I'm still playing everything. I'm tracking everything and I'm totally by myself. There's no scratch track. There's no guitar track. There's nobody playing in the other room along with me. That's my system. That's how I'm comfortable doing it, you know, or that's how I found my niche.
I think that makes sense as a drummer. I think a lot of guys do that because you really get time to just sit there and think, you know, what do I actually want to play on this? And you really just get to without interruption and distraction. You know, you can really sit there and think about like, what do I really want to play to this?
It's definitely a different focus. There's no distractions. It's just me. It's just me and a click track, and the engineer is sitting on the other side of the glass. And he says, go, and here we go, you know, and I just start playing, and I'm humming it in my head.
Shotguns.
You know, while I'm playing. You know?
I wonder how that sounds on the microphone.
Yeah. And I'm just humming it in my head, and there you go. So there's no distractions. There's no, it's just me and the drums. So it's pretty cool. I've talked to a lot of other drummers, a lot of guys. Some are totally into that, and I do that too. And then there's other guys who are like, nah, man, I'm a live guy, or I don't really want the click. I want the live feel. And there is no right answer. They're all right. Everybody's got their thing. And it's all impressive, and it's all great, and it all makes them who they are in the band, and it makes the band what they are. It gives it that feel. It gives it, you know, the songs that what it is.
Iowa comes to mind for me by Slipknot because it's like,
that's a good
that tempo is all over the place, you know, because I play like People Equals Shit and, you know, a bunch of other songs off of that album, and it just changes so much. It's almost like the guy, instead of a click track, there's no way they were using a click track. I mean, I don't know that for sure, but there's just no way, because I think they were just feeling, you know, each other as they're going, and so I think like System of a Down was probably like that.
The energy.
I don't know that for a fact, but just the way that their rhythm used to work, especially in the early albums, it's kind of like they're just feeling it out.
Yeah, very. Slipknot was very chaotic, very spastic, and just energy on 20. You know.
Yeah.
I would suspect that there's no click tracks involved. That's just raw energy.
Yeah, especially like the first two albums. I just
absolutely.
Can't believe that there was a click track. I refuse to believe there was.
No, I think.
Correct me if I'm wrong, you know, in the comments, but there's just no way.
That's raw energy. Yeah.
Because I've had to cover it in videos, you know, like I covered it with a tank one time. And
that's cool.
I noticed that there were some subtle changes in the tempo, and so I was paying attention to that.
Yeah. That's what makes it, though, man. You know,
exactly. That's
you can't hate on that shit. Yeah, that's what makes that the feel of the whole thing. And now we talk about it here. That how old, that came out in '98.
Really,
the first Slipknot record, '98, right? So it's timeless.
Wow.
And you still,
I still
talk
love
about
it. Yeah,
that.
I still play it. I still play it. You know,
it still stands up.
Crazy. Yeah, I listen to your guys' music all the time too.
That's awesome.
I love playing it on guitar, actually.
You love playing it on the guns, too.
I love playing it on guns. I love playing it on guns, drums, guitar. Yeah.
Multifaceted.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just something about it, man. When I put Hatebreed on, I just want to shoot a flamethrower out my window or, you know, shoot. But, you know, that's not – here's something else I wanted to bring up, and that reminds me, is my friends and I have been joking for years, man. We'll make, like, parodies of you guys in a loving way, but it's about that positive messaging. You guys have like this beat down, badass music, but the messaging is so positive. You know, it's like believe in yourself, you know, be kind to people. You can do it. It's motivating, you know. So we'll be out there just making remixes, you know, like be nice to your mom, you know, anything good you can think of. And I love that, man. I love that. I think it's good for a lot of people. I can see a lot of people just being in the gym, you know, having something going wrong in their life, and they're listening to this hardcore music, but there's a positive message behind it. It's a positive aggression, you know. It's like, I'm going to work my way through this.
But honestly, there's a lot of military guys that get a lot out of our music, whether they're in the field, you know, at the time of whatever it is they're doing, whatever it is they're handling. You know, we've had a lot of guys come up to us over the years and say that our music got them through particular situations, you know, where you're in the hot seat doing what you got to do. Or after the fact, by listening to us, it got them through, you know, some tough mental stuff, you know. I have a small collection of dog tags that guys have given me over the years, you know, fans at a show or something. Here, I want you to have this. And that's one of the things I talk a bunch about this with people. And, you know, you start talking like, yeah, I know buddies who weightlift and listen to your stuff, and then you turn to the military, and this is the stuff I talk about. Like, military cats are, you know, they get a lot out of our music, and ones that I've met over the years. And I've gotten dog tags off a couple guys, and I don't know if they're supposed to do that. I don't know if you're supposed to give away your dog tags. I don't know if that's a thing, but I have them, you know, in my collection, and they're in a safe spot and everything like that. And to me, that was like the utmost honor, you know, getting something like that from somebody. Hey, your music meant so much to me. I want you to have this, you know, you're taken aback by it.
I love that, man. That's good.
So,
that means it's doing some good out there. You're not just jamming and not just randomly
it's not just
out putting energy out there. You know, it's like you're actually doing something constructive.
Yeah,
so that's
and
nice.
it feels
like
good.
that.
I mean, I don't even know how to respond. What do you say when somebody, you know, thank you. That's all you can say. Because other than that, I don't know what to say. But I've held on to all that stuff. And a lot of that stuff goes back to the early 2000s. I have a lot of stuff that have been given to me over the years, but it's like the little keepsakes like that where you really see what you're doing and how it impacts people and how it translates to people, whatever their life situation is, you know.
That's good.
Pretty powerful.
Yeah. Positive messaging there. And it's rare, you know, because it's very edgy to have a band, you know, a hardcore band or a metal band, and just be about violence just for violence sake. You know, just and there, you know, whatever. There's a place for that.
Yeah,
but I always thought it was cool that you guys were like heavy, but also like, you can do it. Believe in yourself. You know?
Yeah, there's a juxtaposition to that.
It's
like just like, music that beats you over the head, but it's like, you got this, bro.
Yeah, it's so crazy, man.
Be positive. Yeah. No, Jamie has a way. He's a motivational speaker poet, I guess, or I don't know how to describe it, but he does. He's the best front man I've ever seen. He commands a crowd. He's got them eating out of his hand. He just has that way. He knows how to work a crowd. He's a master at it.
Yeah, he does.
He's a master at his lyrics.
I love that, man. Being a front man would be really scary.
Got to give him credit.
Yeah,
he's very good at what he does.
Speaking of front man, I got to tell you, I just had the scariest experience, and I've done a lot of scary stuff, but this is why it's just crazy what you guys do, man. My friend Hunt the Dinosaur, Hunter, he has this band called Hunt the Dinosaur, and they're a metal band. They asked me like, hey, do you want to be in our new single, do some vocals? I dabble in vocals. I dabble in guns, hammers, tanks, flamethrowers.
You dabble in guns?
And like, you know, vocals.
I'd say guns are your 100% thing, man.
I know. I just can't stop,
You
dude.
are a well-rounded individual, though. Let's talk about it. What you got?
So listen, man, he's like, you got to be in my new single. You can do some vocals, track it for me. I never tracked vocals, so I had to look that up. And so I did this song with him. I sent him the vocals. They put it in the new song, and he's like, all right, you got to fly to Texas. We're going to do a music video with this tank. This is about to come out soon, I'm pretty sure.
We're going to do this music video with this tank.
I was like, all right, whatever. So I flew to Texas. And yeah, we went down. We got, you know, this tank, drive tanks, and set up the whole thing out there. We had the kit out there. We had their cabs, the guitars, everything. Everybody was there.
First question, where do you get a tank?
Well, it's long story short, man. I keep going back to this. I keep getting called back to this place. I've been there every year for 4 straight years. It's like 2 hours southwest of San Antonio, Texas. It's a place called Drive Tanks. In this place called Ox Ranch.
So I can go to Texas and get a tank.
You can go shoot it. Yeah, you can like.
All right, killer.
You can pay to shoot it, drive it around.
Okay.
Do whatever you want.
So you got a tank.
It's a fun place.
We got a tank.
It's not my tank, but yeah.
But yeah, it's part of the experience. This is sick. All right, go on.
Yeah, so we got the tank, and I got to actually fire the tank for the 4th time that day. But we did a music video there. Anyway, long story short, they came to Columbus recently to do a live show. Necrogoblicon was the headliner. I know Dickie Allen was with them at that time, and there were a couple other guys playing. And, you know, Hunt the Dinosaur, they're like, hey, you got to come do this live show with us since you're going to be in the new single. It's not out yet, but come perform it. I'll tell you what, that was so scary, man, because I had to go up there, do vocals, never done it before in my life on stage, and I could not sleep the night before. I even worked out. I went running. I hit the sauna. I did everything right. Still couldn't sleep.
Working the nerves
I'm
out.
just laying there, like, I felt like there was just a hot fire in my chest, man. I was just so, like, hot and nervous. So the next day, I'm just freaking out. Go down there. I got some friends with me. They don't care. They're having the time of their life. They're just chilling, relaxing. I'm just sitting there like, oh, I want to get this over with. You know, what's going to go wrong? And finally got there, and they pulled me backstage, and I'm waiting for that song to come on. And I'm just punching the air, doing push-ups. I just couldn't take it. I was going crazy. I've never been so, like, nervous and scared.
Did you throw up?
No, I didn't throw up.
Did you come close?
No, I can't
was more
say
just,
I did.
You felt it
I was
busting
just,
out.
I was going crazy. I was just scared that something was going to go wrong, man. I don't know. It was scary. But went up there and had a great time and did a good job, and everybody loved it. And so it was sweet. You know, I'll probably do it again. And that
Of course you will.
I'm addicted
Of course you're
now.
going to do it
I kind
again.
of want to do it now.
Dude, come on.
It felt good,
It's
man.
like-
It felt good.
It's like firing some of these guns. I'll tell you. Let's talk about that after. Okay, so go on. Go
So
on.
that leads me to my next question for you. After, you know, all these years of touring all over the world and going on stage and playing, freaking drumming for Hatebreed, dude, do you still get that anxiety? Do you guys still get that nervous, or is it just like, this is another day at work and you just walk up there and crush it?
No, you definitely get nervous. I definitely get nervous before every set. I have my, and I'm sure everybody does. Everybody has their way. Everybody has their system. Everybody has their rituals, let's call it. You know, pre-show, post-show even. Pre-show, I'm nervous. It doesn't matter if we're playing Newport Music Hall here in Columbus, Ohio, or if we're playing to 50,000 people at Wacken in Germany. That's great. You know, they're both on different scales, obviously, but it's the same thing. You're getting out there in front of people. You're going to deliver your music to them. Yeah, that nervous. It's a nervous anxiety. It's a good nervous anxiety. Me, I dry heave. I get worked up. I dry heave.
What? Really?
I do not puke, but I dry heave. Yeah.
Oh, no.
It starts to, like, I feel it, like, you know, that's how I get worked up. So I have to find, like, my private place and work it out of my,
Is
like,
it loud? Is it pretty loud?
No, I don't know.
It's not like a guttural.
I don't know.
Because, like, when I'm puking, I'm screaming.
If it was guttural, I'd be puking. I'd
Yeah.
be puking.
So
No,
it's
I
just
don't
like
puke. It's just one of these. Yeah, it's like how my body processes this impending, anticipation. This anxious anticipation of getting ready to go out and perform. And then, I get out there. I do my thing, and then I get out there, and 2 songs in, I'm good. You kind of level out. It's like a plane taking off, and then you reach your cruising altitude.
Oh, yeah. Now you're in it.
And
like,
then you're
once
good.
You're in it, I'm sure it's...
Yeah, and then you find your stride, and you're good. You're good. But, it doesn't matter. It's been... That's how I react, and that's how I get ready ever since I've been playing drums. I know for a fact the minute, the day, the time that I don't do that anymore, that's when I know, like, I don't know if I'm into
you don't
this
care anymore.
Yeah.
Because that's how it would happen,
Or you're like,
right?
it doesn't matter as much to you. Whatever you want to call
right.
it.
It's like, I'm just doing this to get paid, and I don't care anymore. That's probably where the nerves would go away. Because it
doesn't affect you.
You want to do well, and that's why you're nervous. You know?
That's it.
So
you want to deliver 100%, 110%, and that's how I'm reacting to that. And I think back, like, there was times like that, like in school. You got to get up in front of the class and give this stupid presentation or something. I remember doing that in school too. I'd have to be, can I go to the bathroom real quick? I'll be right back. And then come back like, okay, I'm good. Yeah, let me just get the demons out real quick.
Dang, man.
But yeah, I know for a fact when I don't do that anymore, then that means I checked out. Maybe it doesn't matter as much to me anymore. I'm done. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. I know that's when I know, like, it's not the same. So people are like, really? You've been doing this for 30-something years?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's what happens? Yeah, that's what happens. Everybody has their own story of doing it, but that's mine. Like, that's how I'm affected by it, and it's not a huge problem.
Are the other guys like that? Or are the other guys
I don't know.
chill?
Everyone's got their way. I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know everyone's.
Gotcha.
I mean, you can kind of see, like, everyone does their own thing to get in the zone.
Just kind of gets in the zone, yeah.
Yeah, but that's mine. So
that's kind of it's a great answer, but it's also disappointing because I was hoping that it would go away. Because I like being excited, but this is just overkill, man. I get terrified. It's just too much. It wrecks my whole night's sleep the night before, and you're doing this every single day.
I mean,
so how does it affect your brain? Like doing that it probably keeps you healthy, dude. It probably keeps you on your game going through that every day.
It's a mental thing, and it's like it's not like. Of course, it was different when you're younger and doing this for the first time. You're having the same process, but it's a little more intense.
Your body's not.
The more you do it, like now you know how to interpret it. You know what's going on. It's not out of the blue, like what's happening? Oh my God! No, I know what's going on, and that's because I'm psyched up and ready to go, and this is what I do. Mm-hmm. It's just like whatever. But
work your way through it.
Yeah, you just work your way through it. Yeah. You know how to, and like I said, then you reach that cruising altitude, and you're good. You're good, and then you're just feeding off it at that point. That's what's giving you the energy. But everyone's got their own way. Everyone's got their own way of getting in the zone.
Yeah.
Yep, you got to do it.
Yeah, it's almost like I wish we could just jump right into whatever we were about to do that's scary. Because you're right. Once you like take the plunge, it's all right.
Yeah.
But that waiting for it is just.
Yeah, let's apply it to shooting some of these freaking badass guns.
Were you nervous about any of them?
Yeah. It's not the same level of intensity, but when you're looking at a Desert Eagle cocked and loaded, and my experience with the Desert Eagle was it was the most powerful gun in Bond in the late 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Like GoldenEye.
Yeah,
if you had the Desert Eagle, you were wrecking everybody. Yeah. So, and then the reputation of the reputation of the gun. It's a badass gun. It's not just a 9mm. This thing can knock you on your ass. The recoil is strong. It's so, okay, yeah, step up. You're going to fire that Desert Eagle. Whoa, wait a second. My knowledge of this gun is it's going to knock me on my ass. But you don't want to say like, no, man, I don't want to fire that thing. Oh my God, no, Get it away from me. Yeah. No, you step up, and when you're ready to go, yeah, there's that nervous anticipation. You fire off 2-3 shots, and then you're like, oh, I got this. This is like firing my BB gun.
It's really not bad.
It's not bad.
Most guns are really not bad. I've been looking for one that can hurt me, and I haven't shot one yet. Seriously, I just shot a Smith & Wesson 500 a couple weeks ago, and that wasn't even what I thought it was going to be. So, I don't know. I'll eventually find something that'll wreck me, but I haven't found it yet.
And you just think a shotgun, like, oh, man, the recoil knocks your shoulder out.
They used to be a lot worse, like the old ones, like your grandpa's single-shot 12-gauge definitely hurt worse than the ones that we have now. They've got the rubber butt stocks now.
Technology's come a little way where it makes it a little more absorbent.
I remember shooting like those old wooden ones. Like I even think I had one that with like a metal plate on the back of it, and it just rocked your whole
Or like
world.
Those hunting guns, horrible. Like a 30-30, right? Boom!
Those one of those.
Yeah, like that's what I think of. So there's this nervous anticipation with some of these guns even. And it's the same. It's not the same level, but it's the same approach.
Gotcha.
Where you're like, what's going to happen? Where are we going with this? And then you're good. You just get used to it. You get a little experience, and then you know how to maintain it. Because 2-3 times of firing the gun, then I'm like, all right, I get it. I get it. I understand it. It's not as scary. It's not as intimidating as I thought it was. Okay, boom. And then it's a rush. It's straight rush.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Shooting is just fun. We were having a good time out there.
It was great.
And that's what I tell people, too. They associate it with just all the horrible things in the world. But, at the end of the day, they really are tools that you can use and have fun with. And it's amazing technology.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of history behind the evolution of firearms and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just a good time.
And used properly, it's, it's fun.
Yeah.
It is fun.
The only guy I've seen really get hurt, speaking of, because I'm trying to find something that'll like dislocate my shoulder or something. Like I was talking to a guy, recently, and I was trying to get him to make me like a double-barreled 10-gauge, like sawed-off shotgun, So like that was a 12-gauge, this would be a 10-gauge, so it'd be like even bigger. And then I heard that like maybe you can make an 8-gauge.
Oh my God!
But anyway, and ATF, if you're listening, the sawed-off thing, that was hypothetical, not real. But the only guy that I did have get hurt from us shooting is my friend Seth. We were at that Drive Tanks place, and he was filming me, and he's like right in, You know, I showed you the muzzle brakes on those smaller guns earlier. So they have that same thing, but it's on a tank, and it's like massive. And he's standing right in the path of like all the gases and the explosion.
Burnt? He got burnt?
No, he didn't get burnt. He got a concussion because he was like standing right in the path filming. And I shot that 3 times, and then I put like 100 rounds through a Barrett, and he was also standing in that aggressive muzzle brake. And we were driving back, and it's one road. And we're driving back like to where we were staying, and he just starts yelling like, "I don't know where I am right now." And me and another buddy, we're just like kind of laughing because we thought he was messing around, and we're just having fun. We're like, "Oh, that was sick." You know, we just recorded this tank video. He's like, "Guys, I don't know where I am." And just got really dazed and confused for like 3 weeks, and was like throwing up and had vertigo. And so I guess we just learned to respect it a little more. You know,
Yeah.
maybe just watch where you're standing sometimes.
Yeah, man.
So,
you don't think
it just
that
kind of
would be-
rattled his brain a little bit.
You don't think it would be that powerful? He wasn't even firing the gun. He was just in the vicinity.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's intimidating.
Just right in the path.
It's intimidating.
So my next question, this is kind of a serious question, but I have to bring it up. How many people would you say, like just an estimate, have you slept with? Just like wham, just saying
Like,
what? Excuse me? Speaking of guns, what was your favorite one you shot today?
I don't have one favorite. I have 2.
Okay.
Okay. Pistol-wise, probably would have been the Desert Eagle. Yes. Because I would say the revolver, but that fucker's dangerous.
Yeah, it's like the handle or something.
It's very, like with a revolver handle, it's not as long, right? So you feel like you don't have as good of a grip, and it's curved, so you're grabbing it, and the recoil goes up and back. So it feels like that thing can just kind of somersault backwards right out of your hands and hit you in the face. So that's, whatever. It's a powerful gun, but the Desert Eagle was fun, and like I said, before with the connection of, like what I've always thought about the gun and everything like that. So to finally fire one in real life and say now going forward, yeah, I fired a Desert Eagle. Hell yeah, man. That's a big deal. Second one would have been that sawed-off shotgun, side piece.
I don't have anything sawed off ATF if you're listening.
Not
what
sawed
he's
off,
referring to is it's a Mossberg 500 Shockwave.
Okay.
Mossberg Shockwave.
Shockwave.
Yeah, just a short little pump action boy. That's the one I play Hatebreed with in my house all the time. So I'm glad that you like it.
Okay, so that's how I should have referenced it. The one that you fired
Hatebreed
in
shotgun.
the house, that's the Hatebreed gun.
Yeah.
That one was my favorite because for like the shotgun style guns, because it's not like your standard, okay, let's put it up to your shoulder, get in the sight, let's aim it, fire it. This is just like, all right, cock it, fire, bam. Hold it by your side or hold it up a little bit, but, watch out for the kickback. But that thing is a mean gun. So it reminds me of like all the movies I ever saw, whether they be Old West or, newer like Terminator or whatever.
Terminator 2 is what I was thinking of. It's not the same gun, but it always makes me think of that. It's very similar.
Yeah. And they fired them the same way. Like, this is like Hollywood shit. They're holding it by their side, but they're hitting every goddamn thing. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. And I hit maybe one shot in
just
all the
a few more shots and you'd get it, man. I can hit anything with it from the hip. It's just practice.
That's amazing.
Otherwise, I'd have my windows shattered. I'd have holes all in my walls. Like,
it's super fun. It's just got enough kickback where it's like, whoa, this thing's powerful. But how many other guns are you holding by your side and firing? Like I said, everything is like, let me sight it real quick and hone in on that target. This is just like cock it and go.
Yeah.
So I like to do that every day.
Yeah. I think shooting from the hip is who am I kidding?
It's a good term.
I can't defend it. It's not that great. It's not that smart, but it's really fun.
It's not that smart, but it's
good
fun
for playing
as hell.
drums if you're doing 2 of them. I will say, hold them down like about here.
Yeah, it's good for shooting in the house. Yeah, that's a gun that's good for shooting inside the house. Okay. Proof positive.
Listen to
it
this.
Works.
So I did another Hatebreed video inside the house. And it was on like New Year's Day, and I put the caption like "New Year, New Me," and I was like, "Nah, just kidding." And I was in my kitchen just throwing whole eggs without like peeling. I'm just smashing eggs and bacon into the skillet. Run over to the trampoline, and I'm jumping on my daughter's trampoline and shooting a shotgun all the way through my house out the back door. And that was also to your guys' music. I don't know what it is, man. It's just like a staple now. I got to do Hatebreed in the house.
We're the soundtrack. Yeah. For any firing that goes on in the house, it's only us, all right?
In a safe way, though, not like a murder kind of way.
No. That's the one thing I will say about you. Everything is safety. Very big.
That's right.
Very on top of that. Everything we did was like, all right, make sure safety's on. This is how you shut it off. This is how you cock it. Make training course for each gun before I even touched it, which is very important.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that because I forget about that. But a lot of people watching my videos probably do assume that I'm a psychopath and like I'm really dangerous.
Yeah.
But I'm actually not. I'm really not. Like if you follow these rules, nobody will get hurt.
Yeah.
Probably. Dang it, I couldn't help myself. But man, let's get back to the music. I guess I gotta ask you, this is just a standard question. Do you have any, through all of your experiences, a wild tour story that comes to mind? Just some weird.
Yeah, there's plenty of wild ones. Whenever I'm asked this question, there's one story that always sticks out in my head.
That's what
It's
figured.
not necessarily wild. It's just the cool factor is on 25 because of the people involved. So I have my Dimebag Darrell story. Everyone's got one, Rest in peace. We toured with Damage Plan in 2004. Damage Plan was the band that Vinny and Darrell put together post Pantera. They're coming back, and we did their first tour with them. It was a co-headliner.
That's so cool, man.
Damage Plan, Hatebreed, and the band Unearth from Massachusetts. Good friend of ours, known him forever. So it was the three of us. We went out. We did the country for it was March of 2004 till like mid-April 2004. And when we were playing, we played the Roseland Theater in Portland, Oregon. And I was warming up side stage because I think it was like a flip-flop thing every night. I forget what cities were exactly where, but sometimes they would headline, sometimes we would, depending on the part of the country. And I think this was a night where they were headlining. So Portland, Oregon, Damage Plan was going to headline, so Hatebreed's going on. There's this little side room off the side of the stage. It's like a little sound closet. They store the cables and stuff, and I'm in there just with my sticks, like warming up or whatever. And door busts open, and it's Darrell. And he's like, dude, okay, all right. When you guys going on? You ready or what? I'm like, yeah, we go on in like 5 minutes, All right, cool. I just didn't want to miss it. And he leaves. And I was like, that was weird. He just like came in this random closet and I'm in there. But whatever. So then we go up. We're doing our thing. Show starts. And his guitar tech at the time, we're like halfway through the set. And this was when we were a four-piece. It was Sean was playing guitar, Sean Martin, me on drums, and Jamie singing and Chris on bass. So this was the four-piece era of Hatebreed for a while. And we're playing, and on Sean's side of the stage, Darrell's guitar tech starts like bringing his pedals out and stuff because he had his pedal board and elaborate setup that was the Dimebag Darrell thing, So I see him doing it, and we all kind of just see him doing it. But we're doing our thing, go into the next song, and then the next song he's setting him up. I'm like, it's kind of early. We're not even halfway through our set, so whatever. So now this pedal board's set up, and we stop a song. There's a break, and Darrell comes wandering out from side stage wearing his guitar. A lot of the times he didn't have a shirt on. I don't know if he had a shirt on or what, but he came out with his guitar, and we're like, what the hell's going on? Jamie's talking to the crowd, and he kind of just turns to the side like, what? And Darrell had a sign that he held up that he wrote, and it said Final Prayer on the sign. That's one of our songs from the album Perseverance, and on that song we had a guest spot by Kerry King. He ripped the guitar solo on there, and Kerry even did backing vocals on it, which he had never done. A little fun fact for the Perseverance.
Oh, that's
album.
cool.
Kerry King's doing.
I'm gonna listen to that
the
now.
backups on that. Yeah, you can hear him in
Keep
the
that
back
in
under
mind.
Jamie.
That's cool.
So Darrell came out with the sign like, yo, he's holding up the name of the song. He wanted to play the song. So we'd never jammed
He
it
didn't
with
warn
him.
you guys at all.
Didn't warn us. We had never jammed it with him.
Weren't ready for it
He
at
just
all.
listened to the tune a bunch of times. It was one of his favorite tracks or whatever on the record, and he wanted to jam it with us. No sound check, nothing. So we're like,
That's
all right,
crazy.
let's do it. We hadn't played it. 4 count, went into it. And we ripped the song. He ripped the solo, Kerry's solo and everything. And we finished that tune, and he starts playing the riff for This Is Now. The song This Is Now off Rise of Brutality. Yeah. So we just busted right into that
That's
tune.
cool.
So we did that. And then it was great because it was just like, yo, we're playing our tunes with Dimebag, and
That's
there's
so
no
sick.
warning, and he's starting them, and he's calling it out. He's calling them out. And I think after that, we might have went into Raining Blood. just as like, I don't know how or why we fell into it, but like the dun, 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 you know, and then dun, and we
That's
just did like the first
amazing.
part of it. We did the first part of it where it gets fast, and that was it. And then we rang out, and then holy shit, Dimebag Darrell, everybody, and he went off stage. And while we towards the end of This Is Now too, Vinny came up behind me, and he had like a lumberjack flannel on, and he had dark sunglasses on, and he was walking with a cane, and he was acting like a blind guy, like knocking into me and knocking into everything.
Oh my
like
gosh,
the jokes
dude.
were just, you know, coming on. The two brothers are out there hanging with us, man. We became friends on that tour, and we were hanging out all the time and just having good party times and stuff. And to have them come out on stage during our set, and it was like, we just had that bonding moment over our music.
That's
you know, and we're such
crazy.
Pantera fans anyway. Who
Yeah,
isn't?
right.
If you're a heavy metal fan, you're a Pantera fan. And these
Yeah.
guys were like, we're hanging with us on our material. So that was totally special. It's not even this raging, crazy party story. It's more like that's the bonding moment that you had with these rock star heroes that you looked up to when you were a kid, and now you're on tour with them, and now they're playing your music with you. Like, holy shit, mind blowing. So that's a story I tell a lot because it was so out of left field, you know. He came out and he called the shots. He was calling our stuff.
That's so
and
funny that
we
he
get to
didn't
jam
warn
with-
you at all.
No, not at all. It wasn't a planned thing. I mean,
That's
maybe
so
amongst
crazy.
themselves, you're like, why is he setting up their gear now? They got another half hour at least. But yeah, they were just such genuine guys, you know, such genuine metal lovers and players and everything. Like, they respected everybody, even outside of heavy metal. Didn't matter if you're playing music for a living or you're playing music in general. They were interested, you know. So I tell that story a lot when someone, like the question you
I
asked,
love that.
hey, what's your story? I'll always come back to that one because that was mind-blowing.
Those guys seem so cool. I love Pantera. Pantera was really like kind of my transition into heavier stuff, to be honest, when I was younger.
Yeah,
it was like Metallica. Boom. That was like a big deal, you know. When I was introduced to Metallica, I'm like, what is this? And then Pantera took it like a step further, and I'm like, what is this, you know?
Yeah, heavy as shit.
That's
and
cool.
they were really
Crash
keeping
tour
heavy
set.
metal alive through the 2000s when the new metal wave had come through, and then whatever came after that, like thrash and all that stuff. There was a time when it wasn't popular. It was dead for a while, but Pantera kept metal alive, and they were headlining tours still in the U.S. arenas and stuff, and they were bringing Slayer and Morbid Angel and Static X and, you know, bands from all different genres, but it was all metal, you know. Stuff that wasn't considered popular maybe at the time. Not so much Static X. I mean, they were hot at that time, but like Slayer, you know, they
Right.
had the time where, you know, it just wasn't what it was.
Right.
And Morbid Angel, you know, they were taking death metal out. That's sick.
Right. And yeah, they didn't care. Those guys
they
are like,
didn't
we're
care.
bringing them. We're bringing
They
these
could
are
do
our
whatever
dudes.
they
We're
wanted.
bringing them out. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
they did
love
what they
that.
wanted.
I love that. They're not necessarily looking at the numbers of the charts at the time. They're like, these are our dudes. We're bringing them.
Right.
That's cool.
So, yeah, that's the story I tell all the time because that was just awesome.
Gosh, that's so cool, man. Crashing your set, playing your tunes with
crashing
no
our
warning.
set. That's a good way to put it. They crashed
I
our
bet
set.
that was sick.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think about the genre right now? You know, it's had a lot of ups and downs. And I mean, obviously people get super granular and they fight about, I'm not about that. I don't really care. You know what I mean?
Like labels and
Yeah,
stuff.
about separating. You know, I just mean like heavy music, man. In general, there was a time, maybe like, you know, maybe 6-7 years ago, where I really thought like this is about to go away. Like I really just wasn't seeing a lot of activity. But, and this is just from my personal view. That's why I'm curious what you think. It seems to me now, just from being out at these shows and going out and meeting people and seeing what's going on online, that it seems like there's a lot of bands out there right now, like a ton playing heavy music, a lot of like deathcore bands too. And a lot of these guys are just young, like,
Yeah.
you know, young 20s, and they're out there just making some crazy music, man, just killing it. So
Yeah.
I feel kind of positive about the genre in general right now, but I have to ask you, because obviously you would know infinitely more than me in my little world here. So
I don't know. I mean, I know what I know. I think that's it. What I see, I think younger people are taking metal and we're pushing the boundaries of it more now than ever. You know, you have a YouTube generation that's how they're learning to play their instruments.
Yeah.
So it's more exact. It's more clean. It's more, you could slow files down and really learn how to play something instead of just, I know when I was a kid, like you're rewinding a tape a million times trying to nail that part. Now with technology, you can really dial something in to get it perfectly. Drummers are pushing the boundary of speed.
Right,
you
dude.
hear like what a computer can do, and kids are trying to nail it like that. These like 300 BPM and stuff like that, and they're doing it.
The double rolls on
with
the
the
feet.
doubles and just like finding the technique to achieve that. You're talking spending 8 to 12 hours a day in your bedroom, just like honing their skills, man. Woodshedding, honing their chops.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of that going on. So the boundaries of speed and technicality and everything in heavy metal are definitely being pushed because of technology and the ways to record and stuff like that. I mean, you can have an entire studio in your bedroom, man, and make a record that sounds like $1 million, So, I also see there's in heavy metal in general, there's a lot more women frontmen, that sound like they're a demon. The vocals are
I just
insane.
found one recently. I feel so bad that I can't remember off the top of my head, but it blew
You
my
have
freaking
Dying
mind,
Wish,
dude.
in the
Yeah, I just
scene.
saw them
You have
live.
Year of the Knife, and that's just
Actually,
a
that
couple
might have been at your show.
Dying Wish, we just had them
I
out
saw
last
that at
year.
Yeah.
You got bands like Spirit Box,
Yeah.
and the more like they're more mainstream, I guess, if you want to call it that. Now they're getting a lot of play on like Sirius XM. They take Sirius
good
too.
for them. Like Holy Roller, that freaking that
they're
song,
huge,
that
man.
boost, and I'm so happy for them.
And they get a lot of touring opportunities with bigger bands.
That's so awesome.
But it's great to see like women are stepping up, or and they're assuming like the lead person role of a band, and they're killing it. And that's not something you saw 20 years ago, even less than that 15 years ago. I mean, now it's like way more, I feel. So that's a different spin on it too. So yeah, heavy metal's alive and well with a lot of different faces to it than what we might have been used to over the last 20 years or so, Yeah. It always morphs. It always stays the same, but it always just has a different face or a different style or a different fashion to it at the time. But it's still heavy metal at the end of the day,
That Dying Wish girl got down. She was like all over the stage, like kicking and freaking going crazy, man. I thought I had a lot of fun seeing that. I was like, who the hell is this? Like, what is happening? This is crazy.
I think you're seeing a lot of DIY stuff too. I mean, do you necessarily need a record label anymore?
Right.
I just saw this band Liliac. If you're not familiar with them. Now, I know they were on like CBS or ABC or whatever. I don't know if they were on America's Got Talent. I don't think it was that. I think it was more like maybe they were on the Today Show, but it's like a 5-piece band. I think they're all brothers and sisters. They're all from one family. They're like Dio meets Lord of the Rings meets Ozzy meets check them out. The singer's killer. And they're young. They're like, the oldest one is like 24, I think. The youngest one is 16. And they're a sick band. They do a sick cover of Holy Diver. They do a sick cover of Crazy. I think they did a full cover album, actually. They do like everything from Jack White to Ozzy and everything in between. And they do great. They're young kids. Their stage presence is sick. They're all over the place. They look like they've been doing it for 20-something years. Wow. So you have that too. Younger kids are ruling it.
Because
the
the internet
generation are ruling it. A lot of it, I think, it's technology, just the internet, and you're exposed to things, and more different techniques. You're open up to the world in general more. Like everything is at your fingertips. I know when I was a kid, it was like you had your records that you loved, and you just poured over them, and you had your instrument that you're playing, and you poured over it, and you combine the two, and you're rewinding things and playing and rewinding and things, or maybe you're getting music out of a book. It's not like video now where you could slow it down and I see the secret.
It's so
I can
nice.
just do it.
It's so nice.
It cuts a lot of work out.
Well,
That's
because
really
dude, I have so many things that I work on. Like if I'm trying to learn something on guitar, because I'm not a guitarist, I just want to know it right now,
Right.
And so I just go on YouTube.
That's the mental
there it
state
is.
now, too.
Like boom, I can learn it right now because somebody's baby step walking me through it, and it's just so nice.
Right. It's nice.
You know?
It's also dangerous because you want it instantly, and if it doesn't come instantly, then you're frustrated. Nobody wants to put the work in.
Right.
So we can go on for days, whichever side of the conversation. But I think that's why, but the access is there, the technology's there, and that's why we're able to push the boundaries so much now with speed and technicality, and it's starting at a way younger age where they're way more leaps and bounds ahead of where I would have been when I was that age.
There's some kids that are so good.
Oh yeah, insanely
it's just
good,
nuts,
insanely good.
Like 9-year-old drummer kids that are better than me.
Yeah.
Do you think this is having a negative effect on the record labels? Do you think the record labels feel threatened by it, like all the self-production going on, or are they just busy either way?
Threatened? I mean, I don't know. They're always going to be there, I think, because they have their hands in other things as well. But I don't know if threaten's the right word. I mean, there's just options there. Like this band Liliac, another thing. They're doing it all on their own. There is no label. It's them. They're on tour all the time. They let's take internet. They have like 250,000 followers. They're doing good. They don't have a label. They don't need it. They're making these high quality, huge videos. They're just doing it all themselves. It's impressive. It's impressive that, they obviously have some guidance going on in the right place by the right people, and that's great too, but they're so young. There's so much meat left on the bone for them as far as a musical career goes. Even if that band doesn't stay together, all of them individually can go off and do all this crazy shit because they're all shredders, Cool. So, I don't know. Threatened, I don't know. Record labels will always be around, but there's way more opportunity to do everything on your own now. Look at you. You're doing great.
Yeah, without the internet, I wouldn't stand a chance.
You're utilizing the internet.
Yeah, man. We're just
you don't have a
we're talking right now, right here, and we're just gonna upload it to the internet for people to watch. So that's pretty cool. I think it's connecting the whole world more too. You can talk to people all over the world and get ideas of like what's actually going on in that country, and Well, man, I guess I got one more question before we wrap up here, the most important question of the whole night. And, I hope this isn't too personal for you. I feel kind of awkward asking, but it's important for my audience. They want to know if you were about to be, mauled to death, would you rather it be by a shark or a lion?
A shark.
Really?
Yeah. Because I love the ocean, I love the beach, I love the hot weather, I love swimming. So at least I'd be doing something awesome. And then all of a sudden it's over like that.
So you don't want to be out in the Sahara and just wondering, all hot, freaking bugs everywhere, and then this lion's like, hey.
Right, because it wouldn't even be like that. I would have saw the lion probably half an hour ago, and it's just been stalking me, waiting until I'm.
So now you're scared.
Yeah, because you're just, where do I go? I'm not going to run. That thing can run 50 miles an hour.
So
I'm
true.
done. So I'm just watching it stalk me until it takes the opportunity. A shark, you might not even see it coming. You're just gone. See you later.
That's
At least I was swimming.
I don't know.
At least I was having a good time.
I guess, man. I always thought about if you just try to jam your finger in its eyes, but I'm sure that's way harder.
You're supposed to beat it on the nose. Right? You're supposed to beat it off on the nose. Beat it off.
Beat off the shark. Gotcha.
See that? I did that.
And with the lion, I guess you're supposed to grab its tongue when it goes to bite you. You grab its tongue, you rip its tongue out.
Good luck trying to be that fast.
Yeah, I doubt it.
There's no way you're that fast.
Right.
No.
Right. It's just going to be on you.
No.
So.
Yeah, no, you're done. Shark.
All right. Shark. There you have it, folks.
There you have it.
Thanks for coming on the show, my man.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.